I can hear you. You sound like you're from Trilani Parish.
No, I'm from Kingston, under the clock in 3:30.
You sound like you don't go home during election.
No, man, I haven't been home in years, man. Kenya's home, Kenya's gonna be home.
Good.
You see, this is, and it is very interesting that you say that because, and I kept, remember I told you guys this story about meeting Jamaicans in Kenya who have been living in Kenya in and out and go, and there was a guy who was living in Kisumu for a year, and he was rearing chicken. And all he wanted to do was to figure out the best way to rear chicken at the least cost. He even started developing his own feed.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
He figured it out.
That's interesting. I think that's Afro-Jamaican's dream. I don't know whether he wants to...
I think Afro-Jamaican sounds like a guy who wants to be somewhere near the lake. So I know where he's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether he wants to be, like rearing chicken or if he wants to be a fisherman. Afro-Jamaican is going to tell us. Afro-Jamaican, how are you doing today?
Welcome to the show.
I am good, man. Thanks for having me.
Okay. So tell us, what do you think about these taxes, this consumption, income, and investment taxes that we're talking about in Kenya? Are they encouraging you or discouraging?
Because I'm Canadian, I'm used to being taxed.
Yes, you guys do have a very high tax, but you have free healthcare. Blah, blah.
It's not free. We pay for it, but it ensures that if you get in an emergency, you won't go broke getting looked after.
Understood.
So when it comes to Kenya, when I send money to Kenya, I pay a fee to rear or to send wave or whatever. I pay a fee.
Yes.
And when I send through M-Pesa, I pay a fee. So I don't know if the taxes are in there.
We assume that the taxes are somewhere in there. We are not sure.
So Afro-Jamaican, the taxes are not in there. So if there was a tax, they're required to declare that this fee that we are charging you is a tax. I mean, of course, all these companies have a corporate tax that they pay.
Correct.
Which is separate. Excise taxes are statutory taxes, meaning a company cannot just decide that we are charging a tax on this. So a statutory tax, by statutory I mean one that was legislated by parliament. They're required to declare it. Like when you look at your cell phone bill, for example, even when they tell you we're giving you a plan of $70, it will show $70, but if there's extra taxes, they'll tell you exactly where this is going. Correct. Yeah, so Afro-Jamaican, back to you.
I think what in M-Pesa, he did say that when he sends via M-Pesa, he's also paying a fee.
There's a fee, but it's not a tax, it's a fee.
Yeah, but
that goes to M-Pesa.
But in that, and then now the company will have to pay taxes on those fees that they have. They've gotten, right?
So this is what I'm trying to make clear. There's something called an excise tax. If you go to your bank account in Kenya, this was so interesting. I did not know, because I usually go line by line because I've been a banker here in the US, and I used to see those excise fees. So in Kenya, banks, certain transactions also require a certain excise fee to be charged, and that's why you will every month see a certain fee on your account. So that 100 shillings or whatever amount M-Pesa is charging you is not a tax, it's a fee that's going to M-Pesa. Now, if the government decides on every M-Pesa transaction we're going to be taxing 1%, then in your statement it's going to show that 1% is going to the government. Okay, Afro-Jamaican, back to you.
Go ahead.
And I have no issues with that. I also think that when it comes to Airbnb, I think the county governments should be taxing that as well and getting something to use in the county. So I know that's unpopular.
No, I see where you're coming from.
So Afro-Jamaican, I think, maybe you might be thinking, like Canada and the US, the taxing authority of county governments is very limited. I do not think, and if there's a tax expert, feel free to correct me, but I do not think county governments, one second, Mika, I don't think county governments have authority to tax income. They have fees that they can tax you on. There's certain, like piecemeal taxes that they can charge you on and certain tariffs. But as far as income tax is concerned, I think it's only the national government in Kenya that's allowed to tax income when it comes to investment income and when it comes to like employment income. So that right there is a good suggestion, but that has to be changed by law.
By law, okay, I see what you're saying.
For counties to get that taxing authority.
But yeah, I see why it would make sense, because then that way, hopefully, that revenue that comes in that then goes into services that are provided, and you as someone who's deriving from these services, whether it's roads, water, electricity, whatever it is, then it makes it that much better for your potential clients.
But you know where the problem is gonna come when it comes to Kenya?
That the pockets are big as
no. The problem will come once you give counties authority to tax income.
Yes,
there will be third world counties and first world counties, because think about it, most income in Kenya, especially employment-based income, is restricted to
cities.
Very few counties. It's restricted to very few counties. Now think about, like a county like Marsabit, like how many incomes are you going to tax there?
But we're not taking away from what is it called, the national pot that everybody's eating from, right? Because right now the counties are really all eating off that national pot, and some very small fees here and there.
But for the counties to eat, that means the national government has to give up some of their pot for the counties to be able to come in and assess their tax. So I think that's where the problem will come when there's such big differences. Like when it comes to income tax.
The way counties make money is more of let's say they will talk to investors and tell investors come and build companies. Counties
There you go.
houses. Counties come build it. So when they come and they build those companies, so you are given incentives on when you invest. The fees are usually a certain amount. This is what you'll be paying, and you're supposed to put back a certain amount into the county. Now, in terms of tax, the tax just goes to KRA, all of it. So the KRA collects the money, then KRA distributes to the counties. And as Alia said, so if you want the county to start taxing people and making like this is a regular, apart from their county fees that they take, then the government will have to give some leeway to allow them to tax directly.
And I think it will incentivize county governments to work better, because if I know that I'm running a better county, like look at Nakuru, the most responsive county government I've seen in Kenya. If you run a better county, more people will come and invest, and your tax base increases. I am trying to pay property tax in Kilifi, and it's almost impossible.
Okay, repeat that again.
I say I'm trying to pay my property tax in Kilifi from abroad, and it's almost impossible.
So is this? When you're saying the property tax, is this the land rates or the land rent?
The land rate. So I need to pay every year.
Okay,
and I've been trying to pay, and it's almost impossible.
So there should be a way to do it, and normally the way that the land rates end up getting paid is that you would have to set up an account. So you would have to go to what is it called? I think it's Ardhi Sasa, ARDHI Sasa, and then you register your account.
Yeah. So
Ali knows my situation.
Okay. Am I wrong?
So I have tax, and I can't pay my tax.
I have details on Afro-Jamaican situation, and I think Afro-Jamaican.
Is it complicated?
We actually need to come and have a show with Afro-Jamaican, because Afro-Jamaican, remember, is a foreign investor. He's one of us, but he's a foreign investor.
But now,
so understand one thing, Omosh, like when most of us, we have Kenyan IDs and we have, like Kenyan documentation. So it's easy for us. We have a PIN number. So it's very easy for us to go into one of those platforms and just automatically go through.
And register, yes.
Register, yes. But it's different, like for foreign investors. And this is where Afro-Jamaican comes in and says, you know, like for him personally, he was telling me earlier today that if it wasn't for his emotional connection to Kenya,
he would have said to heck with it.
Yeah, he would have looked for another option, you know, like with his money.
Here's my question for him.